Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. I started by die cutting a piece of watercolor cardstock out of the Paper Smooches Rainbow die. So then I'm going to go ahead and color each one of these strips in. So I'm starting with my Distress inks. I have the colored Candied Apple. All of the distressing colors I'm using are the new ones from last year. But you could also use like the Fired Brick or the Barn Door for the red. I just recently got a few of the newer ones, so I was excited to use them and kind of see what color they actually were. For the orange, I'm going to be using the Carved Pumpkin. And to color these in, I'm just taking my water brush and adding a little bit of water to each of the ink swatches that I put on my nonstick craft sheet. And then I'm coloring in that rainbow because I really wanted it to be a watercolored look. You could just die cut the different rainbow pieces out of colored cardstock if you don't have any inks. For the yellow, I'm using Fossilized Amber, which is kind of like a darker yellow color. And again, I'm just coloring those in with my water brush. When doing the watercolors, it gives it a little bit more variation. There's parts where it's a little bit darker and then parts where the watercolor is a little bit lighter. The next color is the green. So that one is called Lucky Clover. And again, you could do this with like the Forest Moss or the Mowed Lawn Distress inks as well. For the blue, I chose the Royal Blue color, which is Blueprint Sketch. And then for the final color, the purple, I'm using the Wilted Violet, which is kind of a really bright purple. It's a really pretty purple color, and it's really different than the other purples that there already are. So then I went ahead and let all of those pieces dry completely. And while those were drying, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my images. So I'm using this stamp set from Fawn, and I'm going to be stamping the larger bunny. And I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink because I'm going to be watercoloring with these in. So the VersaFine is an ink that you want to use for watercoloring. You don't really want to use the Tuxedo Black Memento ink because it will kind of bleed out when you hit it with that water. So after I cleaned off that stamp, I'm going to be stamping this cloud image. And again, stamping it with the same ink. And I'm going to be stamping this one multiple times because I want a few clouds on my card. So I'm going to be coloring these in with my Distress inks. I'm starting with the bunny and I'm using the Antique Linen. And again, I'm watercoloring these in, so I have my watercolor brush and I'm just watercoloring in the entire image. It's kind of my base layer and I want it to be that light tan color. You could also just color the entire thing with plain water first and then add in the ink. So I'm going to be adding a little bit more onto my craft sheet and going in and adding some shadows in. So I'm not quite adding as much water to this because I want it a little bit more concentrated and just adding in those shadows. I'm taking a little bit of the walnut stain and again just adding that where I already added the darker shadows in. And I'm going to blend that out a little bit with some more of the Antique Linen. When you're watercoloring these images in, it's a little bit easier than Copics to add in the shadows, at least I think so, because it's hard to mess it up. You can always go in and then add more ink or put some more water on it and lighten it up. So I added a little bit of that spun sugar on there to the inside of the bunny's ear. To the clouds, I'm going to be coloring these in with the Broken China and the Faded Jeans. So I'm coloring in the top part of the cloud with that Broken China and then adding a little bit of the Faded Jeans to the bottom of each cloud. And then I'm just taking my Faded or my broken china and kind of blending those two colors together a little bit. So once I finish coloring these, I'm going to fussy cut them out. You could use the coordinating dies, but I just like to use my scissors. So I'm going to be adhering all of these little cloud pieces together. I found that the easiest way to do this is to actually turn them over to the white side because you can line them up. And since they're going to be on the back side, I can tape them together. So I'm just lining up one side. I'm holding that side with my left hand so that none of it moves. They're a little bit tricky to line up, but definitely not too bad at all. So once I get that purple one on there, I'm going to tear off 2 pieces of Scotch tape and just add those to the back. That way it'll be one die cut once again, and I won't have to worry about lining those up on my card. If you have a friend or family member, you could also have them kind of help you out and hold that one side while you tape it so that it doesn't move. For my background on this card, I'm using this wood pattern paper from My Mind's Eye. I went ahead and trimmed that down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And then I also have a strip of white cardstock that measures 5 1/4 by 1 inch. I'm going to add some adhesive onto the back of my rainbow and then just adhere that down. So I want the front part to be coming in front of my white strip and then the back to be behind it. Gives it a little bit of depth on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere all of those images that I stamped, colored, and cut out. To adhere them down, I'm going to be using the Ranger Multimedium in the matte finish. You guys know I love this adhesive. I use it on almost every card. It's just a really good liquid adhesive and it holds down your images and embellishments really well. It also dries matte, so if any squeezes out of the edges, you won't be able to see it once it's dried. And then I'm going to take the bunny and pop him up with some 3D foam squares using the ones from Best Creation. Then I'll just place that right underneath the rainbow. So the sentiments on this stamp set are kind of a mix and match. So I am going to be lining a few of these sentiments up. I'm just going to pull the ones off from my stamp sheet that I want to use. The nice thing about these is that they're really easy to line up because all of the stamps, the top part of the stamps themselves are square so that you can easily line them up. So once I get those all lined up, I can go ahead and place them on my clear acrylic block. And then I'm going to be stamping these with the same VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'm just going to stamp them right on that white area, and this one says Happy Baby Shower. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this onto my white A2 size card base. I'm just using my ATG gun to add a little bit of adhesive to the back. And you can see I did trim off that one side, so I trimmed off part of the cloud and the rainbow so that it was flush against the piece of wood grain paper. So my final step, I'm going to be adding these little clear flower sequins. These are from Mintel Studio, and I'm adding these with my multimedium in the matte finish once again. So I'm just placing these all over onto my card. I just think these little flowers are so fun and they work perfectly with this card. And then I'm just placing a little bit of adhesive and pressing the sequin right into place. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure if you make a card similar to this that you share with me on social media. I would love to see them. Also make sure that you are subscribed to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you all back here next time. Bye everyone!